There is quite a lot of really interesting proposals of creating architecture outside our own planet. And I think it's really interesting from the research point of view. It's really interesting from the point of view of looking at new materials, how people will be living in the future. But I really believe that we need to sort out our own planet before we go somewhere else. I believe that we need to focus on creating a better architecture, more responsible architecture in here, rather than go and try to destroy other planets.
So, what do I think about architecture outside of the planet? I mean, I'm a science fiction geek. I grew up reading science fiction books, so the idea of it I find fascinating, and some of the speakers we had this week really show what can be done if we put our minds to it. However, I can't help but think we need to sort out what is going on our own planet before we put too much effort into something that it's out there. What about what's happening here? We have so many issues that we should be tackling and dealing with as the built environment industry and just as humans. So I kind of think it's a great idea, and I love seeing what people are doing with it. And in my head, I'm going to live on Mars one day before I die. But at the same time, we need to focus on what's here and what's now.
Okay, so I think we are currently in a phase where we are solving the problems of our planet. I mean, we have created a built environment which pretty much started from nothing, and it has evolved over time and continues to evolve. At the same time, there are problems that may have a solution when we look at architecture, which is extraterrestrial, on other planets. And I find it very, very fascinating, to be honest, to look into that domain of research and built environment, because there may be answers to problems which do not exist today, but may exist in the near future. So I think it's a good step to be future ready. Of course, every innovation has its own pros and cons. It has its advantages, disadvantages. But at the same time, I think innovation happens when we look at things slightly differently. And yeah, if we have architects around us who are able to look at the built environment on other planets as well, I think it's a fascinating field to work in, and I'd be happy to do it myself sometime in future if the opportunity arises, because again, it will lead to new problems and new solutions, and that I think develops our analytical way of solving problems. So I find it very fascinating.
So one of the questions that we frequently get asked is, why invest in this kind of Mars future when we have so many challenges and are causing so much damage to our own planet? And I think this was the idea or the goal of NASA when they did the Centennial Challenge, was to kind of kickstart this trickle-down effect. We saw this in the Apollo 11 mission. As a kind of a multi-million or billion-dollar program, but it actually had many times that kind of payback to the economy and to the good of the planet in terms of the technologies and all the advancements in computers, engineering, material design. So with this NASA competition for Mars, and in terms of visualizing and trying to imagine what it would require to design on another planet, it has the same effect, where we start to imagine these challenges, and it really pushes us to innovate new ways of building. And so that's certainly been the story with AI SpaceFactory. We looked at the list of materials that NASA provided, and based on our understanding and the science regarding the challenges of the Mars climate and the lack of a Mars atmosphere, and the precious, the resource, how precious water is as a resource, we said, let's not use concrete. Let's use a bioplastic. And then it kind of had this same trickle-down effect, where although it wasn't the intention to imagine a solution for Earth, we realized we had this incredible material that could be made using kind of organic materials, and could be recyclable and could be compostable. So, I think you hear about this idea of the overview effect, that astronauts in the International Space Station they look back at the planet and they have this sense of it being home, and they also have a sense of how lucky we are to have such a wonderful place to live, how unique it probably is in the galaxy or even the universe, and that we need to really, they return with this new appreciation of what it means to be human and to live on Earth. And I think our experience on this Mars project is that, we kind of went to Mars, developed this new technology, and then we kind of, we returned to Earth when the competition is finished, and we realized that we have this great opportunity to redefine the way we construct buildings. So the concrete industry, people don't understand, but it's an enormous industry. I think concrete is responsible for 8% of the world's carbon emissions. It's immensely energy intensive to create the cement, which is used in the manufacture of concrete. And then concrete is not recyclable. You can only recycle about 20% of a concrete building into another structure. As I said, in developing this material, we realized that we have a solution that we can come up with a way of replacing that material, and that comes out of this desire to explore other planets and test new technologies.